Due to the microchip shortage and other supply chain disruptions, the automotive industry is in strange times. Vehicles cost more than ever, they're selling faster than ever, and today we're going to go over the fastest selling new and used cars for last month, August 2021. We're over at IC Cars. Here are the fastest selling new cars in America. Number one is the Hyundai Santa Cruz. This vehicle just came out, so the demand is pretty high, but it is an affordable pickup truck. I mean, they call it sport adventure vehicle, or what I call SAV or Savvy. It is selling faster than any other vehicle here in the United States. That's crazy. Make sure to watch my review on the Santa Cruz when I was out in Palo Alto for the launch or the media launch of it. And it only cost, on average, transaction price will only $34,000 is still a lot of money. But compared to the second best selling car, the Chevy Corvette, at about 90,000 US dollars. That's pretty crazy. Now, what IC Cars doesn't tell us is the sales volume for these vehicles individually. That would be amazing if they created another column here, which I could do, but it would take me a really long time to do. Just know that the Santa Cruz is probably selling a fraction of the volume of the Crosstrek, the RAV4, the Sienna. It's just because it's a brand new vehicle and it's a truck that people are really interested in it. But I'm going to leave the graph up for you as I get into some behind the scenes details going on here. And if you're new to the channel, my name's Kirk. I talk mainly about Japanese and Korean cars, and we have more news after we're going through the top selling or the fastest selling vehicles today. So make sure to stay tuned after this. I'd love for you to join the luxurious fleet by subscribing. If you're already subscribed, thank you so much for coming back out. And let's get into the news. So the Santa Cruz is the number one, but there are 4 additional models from the Hyundai Kia Automotive Group that join the Santa Cruz, including the Tucson Hybrid, the Kia Seltos, the Kia Telluride, and the minivan. Well, it's not really minivan, they call it something else. The Kia Carnival, which I'm still waiting to review. Cannot wait to review it for you guys. Throw my kids in it, load that thing up, take a trip in it. It would be so much fun. And demand for the Telluride has outpaced supply since its 2019 launch, and it has an average new car price of $45,001, which exceeds its MSRP of $32,190 to $44,390. So people are getting scalped, they're getting ripped off just due to the fact that the demand is crazy. And apparently people don't mind shelling out $45,000 for a Kia SUV. I mean, in my opinion, it looks a heck of a lot better than the Hyundai Palisade Twin. I would not be dropping $45K on a Telluride, which is over the top of the line price for it. I mean, yeah, people are desperate, or they think they're desperate to get a new 3-row Kia. So the Chevy Corvette, which again, I don't really talk about General Motors here on the channel. It was last month's or July's bestseller, and dealers stopped taking orders for the 2021 model in March. And demand remains so high, the model consistently sells for over MSRP, with an average price of about $90,000 compared to the MSRP range of $60,000 to about $79,000. I mean, would you guys pay $90,000 for a Corvette? I mean, it's definitely a luxury item, and the people who are buying them, if they can drop $60,000 on their 5th vehicle, they could easily drop $90,000 on it to satisfy their exotic car needs. I mean, it's still way cheaper than a lot of other mid-engine vehicles out there, right? So maybe that's what they see. And Ford, again, I don't really talk about them on the channel, but the Bronco, the demand is so high that Ford stopped taking reservations in late August. Ford had over 190,000 reservations for the Bronco upon its debut. And the production issues with the hardtop and the hardtop supplier has really thrown a wrench into the production and the sales volume of the new Bronco. Now, another vehicle that I'm seeing a ton of here in South Florida, as well as a Bronco, I'm seeing quite a few, not just the Sport, but the full fat Bronco here. The Land Rover Defender is also on this list. And because of their really bad supply management and their lack of chips, which is affecting everyone, but probably Land Rover a little bit more than most, the Defender remains a high demand model, as drawing long wait lists for interested buyers. Now, there are 5 Toyotas on the list and 1 Lexus vehicle. And there are a lot of hybrids in the list as well. The non-hybrids are going to be the 4Runner and the RAV4, and the Tacoma rounds out the list there too. Now the hybrid vehicles are really high for Toyota. The Sienna minivan, I feel like I'm getting closer to maybe owning one. I haven't reviewed the Kia Carnival, but my Sienna keeps running, and I no car payments is a beautiful thing, as you guys know, or maybe you don't. But no car payments is amazing. And even though I'm getting like 15 miles per gallon in my old Sienna minivan, gas savings wouldn't make up the ridiculous amount of initial price, taxes, monthly payment, and insurance. So yeah, I'm gonna just stick with my minivan for a long time at this rate until a plug-in hybrid probably comes out, and I can hold out until then. The Lexus RX 450h is also on the list, as well as a Toyota Corolla hybrid, which they only make one Toyota Corolla hybrid here. I believe it's the LE grade, and I really enjoyed the vehicle. I got over 60 miles per gallon testing that thing. It was a lot of fun. Make sure to watch my review on that. But the RX 450h kind of surprises me because, well, the RX sells well because it's, you know, Lexus's bread and butter here in the United States, a best-selling vehicle. But the 450h, yes, it's a better vehicle than the 350, but it's still pretty outdated. I mean, the 450h powertrain has been around for a very long time with no updates along the way. Now, 3 Subarus have made the list. The Crosstrek is selling crazy right now. The Forester is selling really well, and the WRX, which I expect to continue to sell well. And the reason is because the new WRX is very controversial. It's not well received amongst all of the fanboys out there. So yeah, the WRX, I feel like this generation, before it's sold out, is going to be having really high demand for it. We don't know exactly when the new WRX is going to be available. I would say early next year, maybe spring of 2022. Now we're getting into used vehicles. I find this really fascinating. I'm going to put up the graph for you guys for you to check out. I'm going to read some information about it while you study over the graph. The Tesla Model 3 is the fastest selling used vehicle for the 3rd consecutive month, and 2 additional Teslas make the list, the Model S and the Model X, and Tesla continues to see record sales growth for new cars, and the used cars are just out of control at this point in time. There are 7 hybrid vehicles on the list: the Highlander hybrid, the Prius, the Honda Insight, the RAV4 hybrid, the Lexus 450h, which was also on the new car list, and the Toyota Prius Prime. There's also the Honda Clarity plug-in hybrid, which I see one every single day because when I go to pick up and drop off my daughter from school, there's another family that has a Clarity plug-in hybrid. So it's strange to see it because it's such a weird looking car. But yeah, they're apparently very sought after in the used market. There are 5 sports cars on this list: the 4 Series, the GTI, the MX-5, which sells really well as a new car too. The sales have been excellent on the MX-5 ever since the pandemic hit. The BMW 2 Series and the C-Class. So a lot of German cars with the MX-5 thrown in there. And then interestingly, Mitsubishi with some really cheap used cars are coming in on the list, which people need cheap cars right now, with the Outlander and the Eclipse Cross. So that's good to see. But I'll see you down below, the Santa Cruz, fastest selling vehicle in America. There's lots of other Japanese, Korean cars on that list. And I just counted 14 of the top 20 vehicles are either Japanese or Korean. That's really impressive. 14 out of the top 20 vehicles are the fastest selling vehicles in America. That should tell you, in general, the Japanese, Korean cars, they're still handing it to the domestics here in the United States. And speaking of domestics, outside the Corvette, what other vehicle is selling really well? The Yukon, the Bronco, and the Escalade. So they just have 4 vehicles there that are doing well for them, or should I say are keeping up with some of the fastest selling vehicles. Heading over to the European Toyota page, they're getting what seems to be a refreshed RAV4, at least from the designs. So this new RAV4 Adventure is really cool looking, and it amplifies RAV4's athletic SUV qualities with the addition of new RAV4 Adventure to the RAV4 range. And this rugged styling gives a new frontal design look, front and rear skid plates, as well as a dynamic gray colored roof. And RAV4 Adventure leads updates to all RAV4 range for 2022, including new LED projector headlights, which I don't think we're going to get here in the United States, with a new striking daytime running light signature, enhanced cabin comfort and convenience features. They're saying the new 2.5-liter hybrid now delivers 222 horsepower, but that could be on a much higher fuel grade. It's rated at 219 horsepower here in the States. And European deliveries of the new RAV4 Adventure and the refreshed RAV4 model range will begin in the first quarter of 2022. And heading over to Toyota's brochure page from here in the United States, and we go down to the RAV4, and this is saying it's for the 2022 lineup, and I don't see those headlight changes for the RAV4 here stateside. But definitely stay tuned. I'll update you guys if I hear anything about a refresh, or definitely a minor refresh if it does come to here in the United States. And the Corolla Cross, which will be available this fall here stateside, and it is getting a different look for the Japanese market. So look at this front bumper. It is massive, and I just don't understand why you need to make it look different for the Japanese market. And they have their own logo. It has a little C or something like that. Obviously Corolla Cross, lots of C's going on there, alliteration, but it has its own logo and unique headlights, which these headlights look to be the most badass headlights you can get on the Corolla Cross. And the premium or the XLE headlights that we see here stateside look good, but these look to be a next step above that. And they also get a pano roof. So, I mean, this is just the classic example of Toyota building cars for specific markets with certain options that make sense price-wise for them. No pano roof coming here stateside, no super cool headlights, but I think our front end looks better than the Japanese front end, so I'm okay with that. They get the hybrid, but I really hope that they don't hybridize the 1.8 liter Prius engine and send that over. That just doesn't make sense. What I think they're going to do when they do hybridize our Corolla Cross here stateside, which should be spring or summer of 2022, they're going to take the 2 liter that's already in it and just modify that setup, the existing setup here in the United States, for electrification. So it should be around 181 horsepower. It's the same setup as the Lexus UX 250h. So around 45 miles per gallon and 181 horsepower, and it is all-wheel drive. So that will be the Corolla Cross to get for most people, in my opinion, but it's just not available yet, unfortunately. So definitely stay tuned. And yeah, maybe for the hybrid that they'll put the pano roof in it, but no, I'm not going to get my hopes up. And lastly, I do talk about Volvo just a smidgen on the channel. I find them interesting. Simple as that. The Polestar 3, which, okay, so technically we're not talking Volvo here, but it's Volvo's subdivision here of electric cars. And the Polestar 3 is a very performance-minded XC90, the next generation XC90, which will be built here in South Carolina. I'm not here, but here in the United States. And it will have a top-of-the-line powertrain, and it will only have 2 rows, where the XC90 electrified, or whatever they call it, is going to be a 3-row crossover like it is now, but hopefully more spacious, because I found the current XC90, the T8 Recharge I test drove, to be really, really small for a 3-row crossover. The interior space was just very, very limiting, but I really enjoyed the vehicle outside of that. But I'm going to end it there. A lot of news today. Fastest selling vehicles here in the United States. That was surprising. Didn't see the Santa Cruz definitely being in the #1 spot by a comfortable lead over the Corvette and many other vehicles. But what the telltale sign for me on that list is that it was like 15 or 16 out of the top 20 were Japanese or Korean vehicles. That should tell you something. That's why I cover them on the channel. I believe that they are better than most other manufacturers out there, and I just have a strong liking towards them. They're not perfect. I will always call them out for that, but I'm going to end it there. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed it, smash the like button, subscribe for more. If you're not, thank you so much. Catch you in the next video. Peace out.